So basically, I mean, it is how would you say, this foundation is an autonomous government agency, and it's been established since 2001. Right now, the CEO is Dr. Suprida Abdul-Yanon, and what's really happening with Sa is basically that they believe that every person living in Thailand, that means that it's not just the Thai society or a Thai race. So it means it's regardless of what race it is, but whoever that lives in Thailand has the capability and the ability to live in a society environment that is conducive to good health. So basically, that's what Sa is all about. So their key mission is to really inspire, motivate, coordinate, and empower. And what they do is they have this, what I understand is a tri-power strategy, where they try to look at the way of how to mobilize that good health within the society. So they look at the angles of the tri-power strategy of looking at creation of knowledge. Sa is very strong in the creation of knowledge.องค์ความรู้ is the asset, basically. And the second part is social mobilization. And social mobilization, Sa is a very small agency you compare to other government agency, but it actually mobilized the society through Paki, or what we call the strategic alliance. And then of course, the other one is to push, a strong policy advocacy, so that basically, we could actually create some change within the society. So in terms of social mobilization, we actually look for strategic alliance who can become change agent. We don't work directly with the society, so we work with the partners, and we give the knowledge, transfer the knowledge to the partners, so that they can then start mobilizing the knowledge that they gain from us back to the societies, and hence the reason why we grant funds. Now, the funding, you would be interested to know that basically the funding is derived from like a surcharge of like 2% of the excise tax on tobacco and alcohol. That is directly collecting from the producers and the importers. So whatever that is being charged at 2%, we get, it goes into our bank right away. And so what we do with these 2% is, of course, there are some budget that we allocate to help us to sustain our operation. But at the same time, most of the funding goes back to the society, where we actually then mobilize the partners to work with us to help, let's say, for example, certain projects that we have, I saw the one with the healthy run. So that's actually a project that is led by Unit 5. We call it Samnak. The units or the sections are Samnak, and we have like around how many? We have like around 11. I believe it's 11 or 17. So, I'm still quite new with it, but it's like 11 to 17 units that work on specific issues. So the one that is on physical health is basically Samnak 5. So it's Unit 5. Basically, they look at physical health, nutrition, and so they that's the basic vision that they want to make sure that people really stay healthy, so that there is the means to be able to reduce all of those diseases, the NCDs specifically. And Sa is actually very ambitious to try to curb down the NCDs. And that's also one of my tasks, is where when I work through this revenue module, I try to work on different stages of the individuals to help them realize that NCD is nothing that is far-fetched. It's something that is very close to home, if you don't try to take care of yourself. But Sa, when you look at the supply chain of what health is all about, Sa is more towards the upstream, which is like the preventive part. So we try to look at how we can empower individuals and organizations, to enhance the health promotions. So it's not like we will all tell them specifically, this is what you must do. So we try to encourage, inspire, motivate, or coordinate, basically. So we work, as again, with the alliance to become like the catalyst, to be able to help the Thai society to move towards, healthy lifestyle. And the thing about Sa is also that we report directly to the office of the Prime Minister. So our big boss is the Prime Minister, regardless of who they are. And but then the Prime Minister then would normally then delegate this authority to the Deputy Minister. Normally it becomes the Minister of Health. And so right now, Kun Anutin sits in our board. And then that's the what we call the Rong Pratan, right? So that's the Minister of Health. And then we have two deputy chairperson, which is the Minister of Health, and the other one is Dr. Surashet Satit Niramai, and he is the Minister number 2. Sorry, he is the board number 2, the deputy chair number 2, who actually conducts and helps to look into oversees the board meetings. We have a monthly board meeting to discuss all about the projects that we actually roll out in each of like the month or like the previous months, and see how we could actually try to be more effective and improve the process, so that our aim is to, as I say, to be able to have bigger impact for the society to have a healthy lifestyle. Most of the boards are actually from people who sits in the various ministries. So we have, like, for example, even the representative from like the Ministry of Finance, from Transportation, from Ministry of Interior, from Labor, from Education, and of course from Health, and various more. And then we also have honorary boards who actually becomes sort of like advisory board, and they are like, very powerful figures like Ajahn Pontep, Siri Wanaransan, and or Dr. Long Sasadajan Gulatip Satrajuchi, and Dr. Saranit Silatam, so we try to get a well-powered figure to come in to help us to, in a way, influence the government sectors, to work with us in terms of what we try to drive towards healthy lifestyle. Again, going back, when we have the funding, basically the fundings are, it used to be just basically that we get those 2% that we levied from the excise tax and use as the funding, and we grant the fundings to various strategic partners depending on what project it is. Now Sa decides to change because it feels that 2% may not be sustainable. So we want to make sure that we want to be able to work more in collaboration with various partners. Sometimes it's not about granting the fundings, because we want the commitment from organizations, especially the private sectors, that they should be committed to help us to drive those ambitions of Sa. So hence the two models that they came up with, which is the co-investment model, which is where we would have limited funding, that we would collaborate with private sectors or government sectors and work on a certain project for a certain period of time. And of course, there will be a process to how you would report, in terms of how the progress of those projects, but it's very new. So this is something which is spearheaded by Unit 6, Samnak Hok. And they normally have a certain specific funding programs that they can give to, to collaborate with the private sectors or the government sectors. So that's the second module in terms of how we use the funding to work and mobilize society. The third model, again, as I say, is the revenue driven. So like, for example, what I've been doing lately is I work with the municipal city of Yala, and I work with Nayok A, who is the mayor of Yala, to actually conduct like trainings and workshops for the teachers, because Yala is looking at a smart city. And so they engage with Sa, and they do pay. They have the funding to pay to Sa to actually to provide the workshops for the teachers. And so we have different segments of teachers, and the one that I just implemented is actually a program for the primary teachers. It's like over 100 teachers actually participated in our program, and it's all about teaching them how to go outside the box, to become critical thinkers, and how they could design storytelling through the means of using local resources and local stories, and actually for them then to develop those stories into books. And it's a 2-day workshop. And what we do after the workshop is basically for us to collaborate with the municipal of Yala to publish, those really award-winning the award-winning products that the teachers produce, and then basically and make it known to the society, or even sell to the society, sell back to the B2C. So this is in a way where we try to help to promote the teachers in the Yala district to basically, that their work can be well known and be well received back within the society, and people can actually buy, those books, from Yala, or even through Sa, things like that. And then, or we work with TK Park. So like the TK Park also has, different learning centers. And so like Sa is very small organization. So we have to be very lean and mean. So we work smartly by working with, TK Park, because they have like around over 50 learning centers throughout Thailand. And what we do is then we help to train them to actually then, come up with some like development programs for B2Cs or B2Bs, with different segments, like from child to adolescent to adult, Gen Y, Gen X, and things like that, or even senior citizens, and basically, work in their space to help them to promote, our ambition on healthy lifestyle. So this is just in a nutshell of what we actually do. So I'm interested to understand better about how we can collaborate with Rajayim. Like, what are you expecting of the Thai Health Foundation?
Actually, we see the success of our prototype or sandbox with the first group, and actually we have the model on the future in 2 ways. One is the Ajahn went to Findhorn in Scotland, and Findhorn is the UN support for the leadership development program for the profit people and planet. They use to develop the leadership in a new way, and they have more than 100,000 people coming in to learn. And I see the potential of the Rajayim as an on-ground learning, especially for the area of well-being, on the stronger immunity, on the self-care, preventive. I think that's a good place. And I think Robert agreed that that's a green paradise in what he saw. But at the same time, we also see that in the new normal way, we saw the My Valley in Malaysia, and we see that My Valley is the on-cloud of the Rajayim to develop the knowledge, the intelligent in the encapsulation knowledge on the on-cloud, so that we can both share the real knowledge and experience. Knowledge is on cloud and experience is on ground at Rajayim. So that's what we see in the future. And if we can cooperate to what you call, I don't know how can we integrate from bring the both part of the both world to co-create something that help. I think our main purpose is how to help the bigger impact to the society. Robert, you can have any
is your objective also to gain some revenue from Rajayim as well?
I try to see it as like a social enterprise.
Okay, I understand that. Okay. Yeah, I think maybe this is where Silk Enterprise will have to come in, because that's if you're looking from a social enterprise, that's what we work with various social enterprise. Like, we actually work with like CEA and the designers who become social enterprise and all that to help them to develop some or design their products and things like or redesign their products. We do have a program right now that we have a focus on mental health, just to let you know, mental health and then growth mindset. So our focus at this year is mental health, which is all about stress management, burnout. That's then we have about nutrition, which is really, I mean, aligned to what you're doing. And then the third one would be, what is it? Oh, but the third one is quite different. It's more on towards child development. The reason why we think about child development because it's the foundation. The Thai name for Suk Enterprise is ศูนย์กิจการสร้างสุข and for us is where we need to สร้างสุข or build happiness within the child itself. So basically, we put in a lot of programs. Like right now, actually, Sa has asked that we actually set up a child development care center as a model, as a Sa model, you know, to as a curriculum that we tie in two school of thoughts, which is the executive function and the growth mindset together, and make it as a seamless experience. When you look at the child, it's not just the child itself. So we have to be able to develop the capabilities of the teachers and the parents to help to develop the child. So sometimes when the child is being put into a daycare or with us, with our EF and growth mindset through the Sa model, is that the parents will not know how to rear the child after us. So we have to make sure that we train the parents to be able to sustain that journey with the child, as well with the teachers. So that's what we're doing this year. So that's one of the third focus that we have. And of course, with all of this, then we decided that the umbrella of everything is the growth mindset. Because, with the COVID situation, people are really down. There's a lot of issues with depression and everything. So we try to think of ways of how we can be more preventive. So if we can create a growth mindset or design a growth mindset course or curriculum through the Sa way, basically that helps people or prevent people, if not, or reduce the chance of people to, going through the downhill journey of being depressed, through all of this economic trauma or with whatever it is that they're going through with the phases of COVID. So yes, that's something that we could probably work with because I'm also collaborating with Suwan Sirit Likachat, which is the Mahidol University this year, with the Sampan group as well. So maybe we can work on to see first, what are your assets and how we can actually help to leverage those assets that you have to then bring it forward to the beneficiaries. I call it ผู้รับผลประโยชน์. Okay, so we don't call them customers or consumers, but we call it ผู้รับประโยชน์. So ผู้รับประโยชน์ could be the patients, those people that you want to heal, or people who actually are non-patients, but they really want to go in because they needed to have a time out for themselves and things like that. So, we could actually then work together to create programs on nutrition, which is, Sa will have its agenda of what nutrition is all about. Or we can even work on which is currently right now a problem that many people are facing. And I've got a lot of requests from various organizations to develop these programs is the office syndrome. Office syndrome does not just exist in office. It exists everywhere else, everywhere else. Because basically if you just sit in a certain area for a long, long time and you lack exercise, you get office syndrome. So this is the popular request that we're getting right now. And so we're actually running programs for various companies like Kimberly and Clark and Lion Tires and things like that. At the same time, Sa Samnak Bat or Unit 8 has a happiness program. We call it Happy 8 menu. They're quite famous with that they roll out these frameworks of Happy 8 menu to the organizations. But these are just framework. So if you're interested to actually develop this framework into a process and embed it into your into Rajayim, basically then I need to mobilize the Samnak 8 or the Unit 8 team to come in and work with you to see how, you can put the program together around Happy 8 menu. The Happy 8 menu is a foundation of happy family, happy brain, happy soul, happy body. I can't remember all. happy money and a few more. So it's very interesting program. Well, people have specific issues. Like just this morning, I have a video conference and a focus group with the Thai Hotel Association, and they have a bunch of issues only because now that we're opening up, and that the hotel group has actually suffered, for the last 2 years because of the fact that we shut down the country, and now we're gradually opening up, but there were a lack of trust among employees. So none of those employees who resigned or who were asked to leave the hotel did not trust the hotel anymore. They didn't want to come back. So the hotel now faces a different issue where they cannot recruit employees anymore because they don't want to go back. But secondly, as well, where the younger generation are not interested in this business anymore. They want a different type of career path. So there is a shortage of supplies in terms of how can they serve, the gradually growing demand on, the service industry. So those are the things that they come to Sasasa and ask for us to actually help to put in some programs for them, which I call the Gan Sang Suk Nai Long Lam. It's a program like that. So for them, it's Gan Sang Suk Nai Long Lam, or to how to rebuild the well-being or happiness in the hotel group, is where it's all about the healing journey for the hotel group, plus as well as the skills and the re-skills that is needed, because the hotel group, they need to learn and unlearn and relearn. And so we have to make sure that they become more agile, because a lot of hoteliers will think that, now that we're opening up, so everything will go back to normal. No, there is nothing as going back to normal. It's a new normal. So basically it's like, you need to be agile. You need to go back to almost being a startup for most hotels. So those are the skills that we need to embed, especially to the leadership of the hotel groups. So that comes out in the focus group. And then when we work on the focus group, we actually help to design a process for them. And most it's either that we charge them, but normally the hotel group, because they are having a lot of economic factors, so we don't charge them. So we go for co-investment. The hotel groups will have their assets already. They have their locations, their whatever, their hotel. So we can actually just mobilize a team. Our cost is basically the knowledge and the people that we can just, put the process together for each of the hotel group. So that's just an example what we do for, certain organization. Yes, Robbie.
I was just thinking now that the multiplicity effect, who is benefited from COVID? Pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals, because they've benefited and they did it with positive mindset, can now give back to society, not only in terms of the prevention that they've caused, but that they could help the hotel group, which suffered enormously. She disappeared. And she reappeared. And
sorry, turn on my lights, the lights.
Okay. So that, we can ask pharmaceutical companies to sponsor the learning process. Now that we would become a technical training center, as it were, in Rajayim, and people would come there and they would work with the various foods. We could train and help develop chefs and waiters, and even, with a small thing there, we could take on small numbers of people, like maybe a dozen, maybe 2 dozen, and give them a week's training. And in that way, and the hotels who don't have the money can be sponsored by the pharmaceutical companies. And if it's got your stamp of approval on it, that gives us a totally new face. it's got, so, this is pro, you are partners in this process. And, it's the perfect environment because there's no interruptions, and they will also learn to have a more balanced lifestyle. Natural, food is growing there in the gardens. They learn how to process that. They learn how to, to serve, to, make the beds, etc., etc. So, it could be a basic training that they then go back, and it would be on the job training in the hotel that would develop them up to a level of, say, first level competence. But we're also we're changing the mindset, and maybe the hotels that we initially work with are hotels that are into environmental tourism, etc., etc. And, because we're going to have to start small, but then we can multiply this out. And, I was just talking to somebody who's telling me about London, New York, Toronto, Mexico, Cape Town, can't remember the other ones. Oh, Tokyo is another one, where they've got a 5-year plan and they want these cities to be totally green by 2025. And they're talking about urban farming. It's massive in some of these places. I mean, they've taken over huge buildings, and that can be also another satellite of Rajaim. And we just find an empty building and we start some urban farming here. So yeah, there's just so much opportunity with this. We can really expand very quickly throughout Thailand, and we can be, and we want to be able to create that herd immunity, so that when anything comes around, it won't be 99% of the population that recover from the pandemic. It'll be 100%, because everybody will have strong immunity.
Right.
And just, and it's achievable.
Yep.
It is achievable. It's unquestionable.
Let me give you another example of a project that I'm doing as well, which is on waste separation. Just to let you know about how we work in collaboration with other partners. So the waste separation is where we work with the KMUTT, because they have a unit called MIDI. MIDI is a combination of 3 faculties, which is the robotics, the business management, and innovation. Basically, we come up with a project because Salasal has a lot of good knowledge on environment, and we have certain successful models that we impart to different sectors in the country. And so we want to actually try to make sure that these models is still sustainable. And so we want to rope in the university or college students to be part of the innovation idea. So the idea is having a hackathon, for these students. Salsa is very good in social marketing, and that's what we're really good in, the communication and PR. And that's so we will hold the event of hackathon for 5 days to get the ideas from the students of how we can actually sustain on waste separation. And the 3 objectives, of course, is to ensure that it's change behavior, a continuous or sustainable change behavior, because some people, they have certain knowledge about how to separate waste, but it's not like the accurate or the most correct knowledge. And the second one is actually to work towards the cost savings model, where we work with the B2B, where they can then, whatever that we do on waste separation, they have cost savings, and then those cost savings should be something that gives back to the society. And the third one is to ensure that this project becomes part of the SET, or the SET guidelines, so that whoever would want to be registered under SET, they need to also follow this program. So yes.
That, this friend of mine in Durban he got every restaurant and every hotel to contract to him, and his trucks go out every day and pick up the wasted food, the uneaten food that is normally just thrown into a garbage bin and ends up in a dump.
Right.
This goes back and it goes into organic composting.
Right.
And we can do the same. And
Yes,
but we
but just
don't
let you
take it
know,
outside.
right? But it's
Yep.
not just a hackathon.
Yeah.
What we do is that then we will develop into a model, and
Right.
then we will do it as a sandbox in a particular city. So right now we have chosen the
So-
Ari district.
Okay.
So we will use Ari as an example of a smart change city, and to work on this project. And basically, they have actually then engaged themselves with the Berlin Senate. The Berlin Senate are interested in this project itself and see how they can actually expand it and make it a module somewhere else in the world too. So this is something where, you know, when I say we work in collaboration, we don't work just in a specific area or location. We actually want to make sure, like what Robert says, you know, how do we multiply? So that's what we do. So we don't want just to stay in a certain space or area. So the Ari district could be a model that serves to different other cities and even to the world. And that is what we are trying to do. So maybe something that we could work with you if that's what you're aiming to, and see how we can work in partnership with. But I'm just letting you know that I'm spreading myself thin. I have very lean team. So our project is like back to back. So we may need to work on a milestone of how we will put this together. That's all I need to let you guys know.
Actually, we can be your engine. Like Ajahn Ning, she expert in office syndrome. And
Okay.
I be a physical therapist too, and
Okay,
and
that's
I work with group of global certified tension releasing in Dr. Berkeley in America.
okay.
Actually, what we can be incorporate is that like a Stronger Than Cancer, we develop the model for leader to expand, and we have many area of our Ajahn in University of Happiness. Like we gonna have a meeting with Page Paluk Theoda, who have more than 200,000 fan page, and they just went to our right to develop the model for family.
Okay.
So we have the Ajahn who developed the family trust in the developing the relationship and happiness of the family. And also we also have the what you call like Kunmo Air who is very good in fitness and exercise to help you deliver. So actually, if we understand your focus, we can help to develop the engine for you, both in the on cloud and also the on cloud experience, or the place at Raja Gym to be the whatever the normally we use the word crucible of leadership. It's the place that you can develop the leader to expand leader, build leader. So I think that's what we are good at. So if you have the context or contents, we can develop the model to build the leader to expand in other areas. And I think Robert is master in that also, to develop the methodology and the model for that.
Okay. All right.
If we have time in maybe next week, can we bring some team and
I'm smiling. I have like a group of the National Municipal League. They're here in Bangkok, and they've asked us to join them on putting in the exhibition together with them. I'm tied on 10th and 11th. Actually, I'm fully booked next week, but maybe the third week would be better for me. And maybe I can also, if you allow me to have time to talk to my team about the introduction of Rajayim, and then maybe I could also then get some key person to look into this project. That will be also better for me. So, but it's just that next week I'm just totally fully booked. I'm just waiting.
The week after next week. Okay.
Yes.
So
week after next.
You let Robert know the availability, and we can arrange the team to meet you.
Yes, please. But I mean, it's great. I mean, NCD is what we are targeting. We've been pretty slow in trying to work on the NCD issues, but I think if we can really work with you or be in partnership with you, I believe that in a way we probably could help to accelerate a few things that we faced as, you know, as a delay in terms of our progress towards trying to getting people to be aware of the NCDs. Yes.
The wonderful thing about Rajayim is that we've got the proof of concept already. You know, we're already 5 years down the road, and there's a very strong network, extensive network. I mean, Chris hasn't explained all the areas that are covered. So I think it's a wonderful relationship. I think this is you know, two units meeting together that are going to make something much bigger than just 2 units. It's going to be, you know, a tremendous expansion. So
Right.
yeah, very positive, and thank you very much for your time. I know how busy you are.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, definitely. I'll work with, well, I mean, I'll send an email. I think I have, do I have, I think I used to have your email.
Yes.
Yeah, and I have Robert's email. So I think I have all of your emails. So I'll send out the email so that I'll give you the slots of my time, and then we can see how we can book those time. But I guess if that is the case, we could either do a longer period of time, but make it more towards the normal office hours than the later time.
Yes.
Okay.
I know. You're home. You need to look after your family. Get
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
Okay.
you. ขอบคุณมากค่ะ
ค่ะขอบคุณมากค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ
God. Chris, can we stay online?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes.
So-
Sorry, I told to แม่จุ๊บเรียบร้อยแล้วนะคะ
ค่ะโอเค
เอาเลื่อนเรียบร้อยค่ะเลื่อนเรียบร้อยโอเคค่ะ
Palm Kauchai Cup.
โอเคค่ะ
Actually, we're gonna have like a what do you call กี่โมงนะ7 โมงนะ
7 โมงตอนนี้เหลืออีก10 นาที7 โมงเรามีเวลาจนถึง7 โมง 20ได้ไหม7 โมง 10
โอเค
ค่ะ
Actually, we're gonna have a 10 minutes to the next meeting.
I know. I gather that. You've got 10 minutes. I just wanted to say that's a great meeting. We also need to contact people like Unilever, like the people that produce Pfizer, GSK, your IT people. We need to get them saying, can they please get involved as well?
I think if we get like the what do you call the core focus from us
Yes.
and SSS,
Yes.
and they stamp
Yes.
and get some funding
Then
for
yes.
the seed money for the funding,
Yes.
then we can expand to the
Correct.
corporate to get more
But
funding.
we've got approval in principle. Definitely. I mean, Anne doesn't, I mean, if she wasn't interested, she would have said no. So, her saying, yes, we must meet, we must talk, etc. It means approval in principle. Now we've just got to, there are 2 key steps that lead to successful partnerships. Number 1 is the shared understanding of the present situation. And we've kind of touched on that. Like, COVID is the earthquake. The post-COVID economy is the tsunami. And it's perfectly timed.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Like now is the time that we are going to come out with balanced existence, return to nature, etc., etc. It's absolutely perfect. We get out with this message, we can expand it really quickly. And a lot of people, there's a lot of money available. People have been sitting with their money. Now, if they can invest in this, they will get, their return is improved lifestyle.
Okay.
But there are lots of companies who are ready now to invest in this country. Corporate social involvement, not investment, not responsibility, involvement. Yeah. Okay, guys, you've got to get to your next meeting.
So
Thank
this
you
is
so much.
the concept of simple, natural,
Yes.
and
Absolutely. You see how simple and natural and effortless it is? You just float down the river.
Oh, Chris, before I forgot the message that Kun Anne mentioned about NCDs. We have the real case like a Royal Canin, a host Ericsson, Rio Global Logistics, Unilever, PTT, Bang Jak, stronger than.
I think what we have now is the the model and you can plug in any content.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. You've got the proof of concept on
Yes.
many different levels in many different areas.
Yes.
It's all history. Now you can say, here, we know how to do this. Let's get on with it.
I think it's just the priority of Kun Ann, because
Yes.
I think she have many projects.
Sure. But
and
all we need is her stamp of approval. We must
Yeah.
just have so, and they're involved with us. Boom, doors will open.
yeah.
That's all we
Okay.
need. We don't have to get heavily involved into too much detail, because she's not going to want to do that. But she will pass us on to somebody else who rubber stamps us. We then get out and raise the funds and get moving.
Yeah.
But we must move quickly.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.